I'm going to break down how I built my closing skills in the remote high-ticket closing space and absolutely transformed my life. And then we're going to be deep diving into certain trends that you need to be aware of in 2025. Now, my name is Ramzi. In the last couple of years, I've been selling and consulting for Lopez and Spofford, and I've done over $1 million in high-ticket sales relatively quick. Now, in order to actually transform your closing skills, you need to start focusing on the fundamentals of sales. And in my opinion, the most important aspect that you need to focus on in the beginning is your mindset. Now, I'm not gonna go off on a crazy mindset rant because at the end of the day, I understand that people hear this stuff all the time, and I'll be going deeper on that topic after. But you do have to be very detail oriented in terms of knowing exactly what you're gonna do on a day-to-day basis, right? Like I'm talking about writing your goals down the day before, even knowing what you're going to be wearing the day before, and just really focus on tracking absolutely everything, because without data, you're not going to be able to get 1 or 2% better every single day. Now, what has really helped me personally in terms of becoming a very, very big top performer, and again, consulting big names in the space, helping them with sales funnels, ideas, client satisfaction, all that good stuff, was the fact that I was a very, very active listener. In fact, I dived so deep into it, I started becoming a forensic listener. Tactics that FBI agents use in order to manipulate the people that, for example, are taking people hostage to get their way. Because I'm very, very, very serious about helping people cross over the line, because at the end of the day, I know that the programs that I sell deliver what is promised on the phone. Now, you have to keep in mind that active listening is a skill that doesn't necessarily just right off the bat. You need to be able to learn to practice this. Now, what are some key components? What are some key actionable steps in order for you to become a better active listener? Now, let me break this down. Believe it or not, it starts right at your desk. You have no clue how many times I would walk by people's desks, or I would see people's desks on Google Meets or Zoom calls, and they're an absolute mess. Believe it or not, if you get distracted from what you're currently doing, it takes you roughly around 25 minutes to get your train back on thought. So the first thing that you need to do, in my opinion, is clear your desk out of all the absolute nonsense and garbage that is not going to benefit you throughout the day. So for example, for myself, all I have are books behind me. I have a nice little Lego car that I built myself. And then of course, I've got my laptop and a pen and a paper. That's it. And when I'm taking my sales calls, it allows me to actually focus and not look at different things and get distracted from actually listening to my prospect. Because you have to understand, like at the end of the day, like everybody wants to get help. Everyone wants to do better in personal development. Everybody wants to make more money. And when you're on a closing call, you have to really understand that if your prospect doesn't feel like they're being listened to, you're not going to be able to influence them. You're not going to be able to push them over the line. You have to be giving your full undivided attention to your prospect. And most importantly, you actually have to care. Like us as human beings, we're not stupid. For example, if I'm talking to someone about something and they're giving me eye contact, engaging greatly in eye contact, and then all of a sudden they just start looking away or doing things like this, what does that show me based on their body language? That they don't care anymore. They're not actively listening. Now, at the end of the day, this is something that is more easier to understand, obviously on a Google Meet, but at the same time, if you're a remote closer and you're doing this over the phone and your prospect can't see you, you have to also keep in mind that they could hear it in your tone. They could hear it in your energy. They could hear it in your conviction. And if you're not listening properly, believe it or not, the sale can be done before you even started it, even though the call can go all the way and then obviously you won't close it. And that is not cool, because at the end of the day, if you don't actively listen properly, you're not going to have big commission checks. And if you don't have big commission checks, you're going to start feeling anxious and frustrated with what you're doing. Now, I understand why why you got into remote closing in the first place, because it's the best thing in the world when you know how to sell properly. And you wanna know why it's the best thing in the world? Because when you're fully, when you're truly, when you're 100 billion% confident in your skill set, it doesn't matter if you have 2 booked calls, it doesn't matter if you have 24 booked calls. You know that you're going to be making money that day. And when you make money on a consistent basis, the result of that is losing the anxiousness, losing the frustration, and having a better quality of life. And who knows, a lot of you, I'm sure, want to go to Bali or Dubai or places down in South America and enjoy your life on a beach, right? I think so, right? So that's pretty cool. Now, here's another trend that no one's talking about in the remote high-ticket closing space. And it's the fact that it can get a little bit tough. Like, trust me, coming from a person who did 24 calls back to back on a regular basis for months on end, if you don't have anyone to talk to, if you don't have anyone to actually relate about what's going on in your day, how your calls are going, time management, what you're speaking to with the prospects, you're going to feel anxious and overwhelmed. Now, being overwhelmed is probably one of the worst feelings to feel, especially when you're in sales. When you're overwhelmed, you're not going to be able to think properly. You need to be sharp on the phone. If you are overwhelmed, you will not be able to perform. Now, think about why you got into this in the first place. You probably got into remote closing because you also want to help your family. You want to be there for your family, or you want to buy your mother a house, or you want to do X, Y, and Z. Now, ask yourself this question. What's going to happen in 2 or 3 months of you not performing properly? Are you going to get discouraged? What happens when you get discouraged? Do you think that you're going to be able to just hop into another business model and flourish? Absolutely not. You have to understand that, yeah, you can become the jack of all trades in due time. Obviously, having a team is way better, but you need to focus on one thing that you understand is real, you've seen people get results from, so that you can expect and receive the same results and actually enjoy the fruits of your labor. You have to take this in. The world is absolutely changing. Remote sales reps, high-ticket closers, and sales in general is extremely important. The world is going absolutely virtual, and there's going to be a huge wealth push to the new billionaires of the world. Now, take this in. Everyone is getting into remote closing. Everybody wants to sell, but at the end of the day, people who are running offers, they want closers that are top tier closers. Do you understand what a top tier closer is? Someone who will always perform on a day-to-day basis, that's not unpredictable, being able to manage their time efficiently, handle their clients accordingly, and not ruin the brand. I hope that makes sense. Now here's the thing why it's so important for you to perform, or else you're gonna lose your offer, okay? When an offer is actually at full scale, and when I talk full scale for me personally is $500,000 a month. However, even if an offer is at $150,000 a month or $200,000 a month, $50,000 a month, $100,000 a month, it doesn't really matter. A lot of money goes into marketing in order to get booked calls. For the most part, if your coach is running advertisements. Now, if they're running advertisements, what does that mean? That means that they have to pay to acquire customers and leads. So think about this for a second. If you were a coach or if you had some sort of offer, would you want to put some schmuck on the phone who's not going to close leads for you, resulting in you losing advertisement money and technically not making a profit? Probably not. That's why a majority of you, and correct me if I'm wrong, have probably went from offer to offer to offer to offer. Now, there can be multiple different factors of why you've done this. Maybe there's work politics, maybe there's not enough lead generation. It could be absolutely anything. But the most important part is none of that matters. Because imagine this. Imagine you were so confident with the offer you were selling for. Imagine you were so confident in your skill set as a high-ticket closer, and I'm talking about the entire skill set, not just sales in general. Sales in general is so broad. I'm talking about the psychology, I'm talking about the science, I'm talking about move away, fast-paced, slow-paced buyers. I'm talking about individuals that understand why people say the things that they say and treating a sales call like a chess match, being able to create quick rapport on the call that builds trust, leading to less objections or smooth closing calls. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense, because you have to keep in mind, back to my point, if you really understand sales, and again, I will be diving extremely deep into multiple topics. I'm just going off the top of my head here really quickly for you guys. You will never be worried about money again. Now, that being said, in sales, your mindset should be, I'm in sales, I have the ability to make a massive commission check at the end of the month, even if I haven't made sales all month, and continue to provide for my family. That is the industry that we are in. We are in the industry where anything is possible, but that's not what you want. You want to learn how to become consistent. And what I'm trying to tell you is, imagine waking up, looking at your calendar, you're on some starting offer or whatever the case is, you just broke into the industry and you only have 3 or 4 calls. Imagine what it would feel like if you knew that you were going to close at a 50% rate, at a $5,000 ticket with a 10% commission, making $500 US per sale. It's $1,000 a day. That's $30,000 a month. That's pretty good money in my opinion, right? Now, imagine if you got it to a point where you knew that you would close 75% of your deals, or if you would close 80% of your deals. What if you got to that point? How do you think you would feel? Well, I could tell you how you would feel because I've done it myself. You will feel ecstatic, filled with energy, filled with desire. There's gonna be key components in your brain that are absolutely unlocking the laws of the universe. Because let me tell you something, the universe works in very magical ways, and you need to learn how to leverage them to the best of your capabilities. Now, another trend that I want to talk about that's been becoming very popular in the high ticket closing space is therapy. Finding a soundboard, someone who will actually listen to you and understand you. You have to keep in mind, like if you're on a cold call sheet dialing outbound leads or whatever the case may be, 150 of them a day, it can be rough. It can be deteriorating. Have you ever dialed a CC sheet and you were on the phone with a prospect for like half an hour, 45 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever, it doesn't really matter, and you think you're gonna make the sale and you just don't make the sale? Isn't that the most frustrating thing ever? Now imagine that happening over and over and over and over again and not seeing results. Maybe you see a result every now and then, you make a sale, but you're not at your desired income. What do you think is gonna happen to you if you don't talk to anyone about it? All this stuff is gonna start building up in you. And when you get filled with negative emotions, uncertainty, limiting beliefs, you will not be able to perform at your highest peak. Remote closing is absolutely beautiful. Take it from me, closing massive deals with Lopez and Spofford. I understand financial freedom to multiple degrees. Now, it's a feeling, and there's aspects of yourself that you don't even understand that you're gonna experience because you're not there yet. And what I'm really talking about is, for example, just a simple example, it's like there's certain things that you're interested in that you don't do because you don't have the money, right? Think about it for a second. Do you wanna eat like trash? Probably not. Don't you just want to eat healthy, amazing meals that fuel you with great energy, resulting in a slimmer body so that you could feel better for whatever the case is? Of course you do. Everybody does, but sometimes it could be a little bit expensive. But if you master your craft at closing and understanding people, which is the most important part, because that's all sales is. Sales is understanding people. Then you will never go broke again in your entire life. Imagine what that would feel like if you never went broke again in your life. Imagine what it would feel like if you knew that you can get dropped anywhere in the world and you would make money because you know how to close. Imagine what that would feel like. Take a second, because I feel it every fucking day. and it's amazing. It is amazing. You have no clue what it feels like. And I hope one day you actually learn how to feel like this. And you have to keep in mind, in order to feel like this, you need to go through a full transformation. Like my program, for example, is absolutely extremely detail oriented. We go through a diagnosis of exactly what's been going wrong in your sales, and then we create a customized, tailored program specifically for you in order to improve the challenges that you've been facing. But I'm not here to talk about my program. I'm here to talk about you and the trends that you need to actually follow and be aware of in order to become a high ticket closer successfully. Now, at the end of the day, a lot of people don't know about authenticity and being real on the call. People will give you scripts, people will give you frameworks and all that kind of stuff. Frameworks are cool, but at the end of the day, when you're speaking to a human, when you're speaking to a friend, do they speak to you like a robot, or do they speak to you like they know you? Now, here's my point. Have you ever taken advice from someone before? Why did you take that advice from someone? Because you trusted them, because you liked them, because they were well spoken. Now, that's exactly the person that you need to become in order to make sales. You need to go through a full transformation to perform at your highest peak. If you're a remote closer right now doing 10K a month, are you truly satisfied with your results? What if you're doing 20K a month? Are you satisfied, or 30K a month? Probably not, because you know the potential. And when you know the potential and you feel like you're not there yet, something's missing. But sometimes you don't know what's missing because you haven't been through it yet. And then there's other people that have been through it that could help guide you along the way. Now, in conclusion to this video, I really want to make it clear that there's plenty of trends that are happening in high ticket closing right now. And authenticity, being yourself, is a huge one. So don't be afraid to just be yourself. However, at the same time, you will always have to maintain a line of authority with your prospects, or else they will try to walk all over you. Therapy. Therapy is needed for high ticket closing. It can be a very, very, very straining position, especially if you don't have time management skills and you're new to this place. And most importantly, your mindset, your limiting beliefs. You are always limited to what you believe in. I am a firm believer in letting your brain run wild. I am living proof of the law of attraction. Trust me. And if I could do it, dealing with bipolar disorder, dealing with family, dealing with multiple different aspects in my life, a newborn baby, there's no excuse for you. There's absolutely no excuse for you. The only excuse that you have is the limiting belief that you made in your brain. I hope this helped. Like this video. I hope you absolutely crush it and learn something from it. Subscribe, and I'll talk to you later. Ciao.